What up YouTube? This is Paul the Inventory King. We're talking about how we are addicted and the only cure is more tanks. I got 3 special guests joining me on this video today. Hit up their channels. The links are in the description below. Sub them up.
Hey, what's going on YouTube? Adam C here. Thanks to Paul, the Inventory King, for having me on today. So he wanted us to talk about multiple tank syndrome, MTS, and how it seems like one fish tank is never enough. I started with, I think it was a 29 gallon, maybe a 20 gallon, probably 10 years ago. That turned into the usual 40 gallon, 55, 90, 120, and then I eventually got to my 220 here, which is my show tank. I keep all my favorite fish in here. Pretty good sized tank. And then in this tank I keep all males. So I kept that for a while, and then you start thinking, well, maybe I want to breed some fish. So that led to this, which is a 125 gallon breeding tank with Buccochromis rhodocii yellow. Had this going probably, I don't know, 6 to 8 months now with these fish, and waiting on them to breed. So while I'm waiting on them to breed, I'm thinking, maybe I want to breed another type of fish. So then that led to this, which is a 125 gallon breeding tank with Mylochromis spilostitius in here. And I swear they're in here. They're a little bit skittish. I just turned their lights on not long ago. They like to run away from me. Let's see if they'll let us take a peek here on the side. There he is down there. And there he goes. So got these guys breeding well out here. Got the Buccochromis breeding well inside. Got the show tank inside. So then I'm thinking, I've got 2 breeding tanks. Where do I go from there? I've got to raise the baby fish somewhere, right? So that leads to this, which is a 20 gallon tank to raise fry. And that leads to this, which is another 20 gallon tank to raise fry or quarantine new fish. And that leads to a 40 gallon tank where you can start raising fish up a little bit bigger. But then I remember I've got 2 species of fish, so I need more than one 40 gallon breeder tank, right? So then we've got the other 40 gallon breeder tank, just waiting to add new fish in it. So you can see on and on it goes. There's never enough, and that is the problem with many fish keepers, is you start with one little tank, and the next thing you know, your wife's not happy because your entire garage where she was supposed to park her nice car is now filled with fish tanks. So beware. Thanks again to Paul for having me on today, and see you guys next time.
All right, Paul, thanks for having me. I'm just going to talk a little bit about MTS and how it's affected me. Here we're looking at the 75 gallon. This is the first tank I've bought it from PetSmart a little bit over, almost 3 years ago now, 2.5 years ago. You know, I've gone from African cichlids in here, went to a breeding group, and then now it's back to little babies as well as the wounded trout. But the 75 gallon, it's a good starter tank. I actually recommend something like the 75 or a 125, just because if you don't know if you're going to like this hobby, why spend, you know, $1,500 on a tank and you know, 3 months down the line realize you hate all the maintenance that is, you know, fish keeping. So this would be my recommendation to start. We're going to jump over to the peacock bass tank, the 180. This was a tank that I bought because of, you know, it was available. 180 gallons for $180, and the guy lived a mile from me. So I didn't need this tank. It was just available. I jumped at it. Once I bought it, I didn't even know what I was going to put in it. Did a little research on some things, you know, looked around at different options, and obviously peacock bass is where I went. I do have a 20 gallon breeder here, which I actually have some Holotania fry in. This was the quarantine tank until the fry came, so I have them in there. 55 gallon here. It's kind of the riffraff tank, things I really don't have a home for right now. Pretty much, I guess I have to keep this tank going just because of Princess Peach you see right there. I also have a catfish in there, it's harder to see, but the 75, kind of like the 180, was a tank that I got for cheap. One of the friends of mine were selling it for $100, 75 gallon for $100 with the light and everything, so I jumped at it. Same thing, didn't know really what to put in here. Ended up going with these Madagascar cichlids that you see. And then last but not least, we'll go in the other room here. We've got the 225 here. This would be the tank I'd recommend to pretty much anybody, especially if you like cichlids, African cichlids. But you can really put anything in this size tank. The only problem is, like I said, with the price tag. And that's really what it comes down to with MTS, the price tag. So thanks for having me, Paul. Hope you enjoyed watching what I have.
What's going on, YouTube? And shout out to Paul for having me on. Paul wants me to speak on how many tanks I started out with, how many tanks do I have now, and how more is better. Well, actually back a long time ago when I was a kid, I started out with 2 tanks. Then I kind of went away from the hobby, and then I gradually got myself back into aquarium fish. As of now, I have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 75s, 190, 10, 20, 30, 3 10-gallon tanks, this 220 and the 125. The other tanks that I just named are in the fish room, which I am not going to show. I'm going to save that for the big reveal coming shortly. Just had a lot of things going on in my life, so I didn't have an opportunity to share the fish room with you guys as soon as I would have liked to. But yeah, like I said, that's 4 75s, 3 10-gallons, 90-gallon, 125, and the 220. And coming soon, a massive tank, which is going to be an in-wall unit when I move into my new home. So again, Paul, thanks for having me. Peace.
So my first aquarium was a 55-gallon tank that I got off Craigslist. It was a community tank, which then evolved into a Central and South American tank, which evolved into an African cichlid tank. After it evolved into an African cichlid tank, that's all I've kept since. I've had lots of different groups in multiple tanks. I've had Demasoni and Yellow Labs together. I've had Africobus and Elongatus cheweri in their own tanks. So those were the Mbuna that I've kept. So those were 2 tanks there. I've had Venustus, which have been in their own tank. I've had Rostratus, who have been in their own tank. Redfin Borlei, Sunshine Peacocks, and Super Red Empress, which shared a 110 6-foot tank, so I split that up. I've also had some Dragon Bloods, just a lot of fish. Madoka White Lips, which I still have to this day. And I've got lots of good deals over my time of keeping fish off Craigslist. Lots of good aquarium deals. So definitely got MTS. You know, we got the 220 behind me here with the Predator Haps, which, as you guys know, led to all this. So yeah, MTS is something I struggle with. You know, I got all these tanks here in the fish room, full of fish, rocking and rolling. And I also have a tank outside that's for here to complete the room. Just got to finish refurbishing it. So that's pretty much where I stand with tanks now. You know, I have the one in the house, and then I got this one, these here in the fish room. Oh, and there's an empty tank here, an empty tank here, an empty tank here, another empty tank here, and some more empty tanks there. Yeah, I've always worked on being able to get aquariums for a good price. That's why I have all those extra ones outside. I mean, you wouldn't believe the prices I got for some of those, and I'm going to eventually be selling them because I'm really at where I want to be as far as the fish room goes. So, but yeah, empty is so bad, there's tanks empty outside. Thanks again for watching the video, everybody. Make sure you go to Adam C's channel, IFG's channel, and Corey's channel. Make sure you hit them up, sub them up, and I want to thank them for joining me on this collaboration about MTS. Please comment, like, subscribe, and share, and stay tanked.